you think you owe it to yourself to look inside of you and take the time to realize what you are here to do? Don't you think the time has finally come to stand and face the fire, to walk into the blazing sun and claim your heart's desire? You were placed upon this earth with a mission to complete. Now the time has come to stand up strong and claim your destiny. You must move in the direction of your dreams and act as if they've already come true. For even when there is no hope, so it seems, move in the direction of your dreams. Do you think that you're not good enough to be a shining star? Or do you think because the road looks tough that you won't get that far? Do you believe that only some are great and others left to chance? Or maybe that it's just too late, or a fair futile circumstance? You were placed upon this earth with a mission to complete, and now the time has come to stand up strong and claim your destiny. You must move in the direction of your dreams and act as if they've already come true. For even when there is no hope, or so it seems, move in the direction of your dreams. And when the world feels like it's crashing all around you, and the clouds of doubt are darkening your day, well then just be still and know that there's something deep within you that will always know the way. You must move in the direction of your dreams and act as if they've already come true. For even when there is no hope, or so it seems, move in the direction of your dreams. Move in the direction of your dreams.
Woohoo!
Just breathing in this moment, recognizing that there is a power, the presence that is in and through every living thing. Experiencing God as that first breath of life and those breaths at the end. God is in it all, every moment in between, and it is all good. And I just take this in as we are together as one, knowing that that presence resides in every living thing. And I experienced it on my way here, in the eyes that I gaze upon, the smells. God is everywhere. And knowing that God is everywhere, I know that I am one with it. Just as I know that every person in this room, every person watching, every person on this planet is connected to this force. I give great thanks for this service, every volunteer that worked tirelessly through this week to make this service happen. I give great thanks for Reverend Jen as she lifts us with the words of the divine in that connection as she is a conduit. And we just send out a special love embrace to Ukraine, holding them in that space of absolute love, recognizing that there is no discord in God, and God is everywhere. I give great thanks for us being together and for all those who gather, whether it be watching, in sweat lodge, in mosque, anywhere, that those are gathered to lift up the name of the divine within. And it is in the space of gratitude that I simply let this go as we affirm together in one voice, and so it is. The first words of inspiration this morning come from Mark Twain. And I noticed I forgot to dong, so I apologize and I had to say it. Wherever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to reform or pause and reflect. And from Laurie Deschenay, practice the pause. Pause before judging. Pause before assuming. Pause before accusing. Pause whenever you're about to react harshly, or you'll avoid doing and saying things you'll later regret. And from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, the Spirit has already ordained that nature shall be perfect. A perfect cause must produce a perfect effect. The normal functions of life are harmonious, but we interfere with these in our ignorance, and thus bring discord into temporary being. While in the use that we make of the law of cause and effect in our individual experience, we are responsible. We are given, or by the necessity of our nature have, the power and this necessity of using the law as though it existed solely for us. It goes in the direction in our mental affairs that we give it. It can have no other direction for us and no other. Knowledge alone can free man from an ignorant and self-imposed bondage. Pause and find the cause.
We are so much more than what you see when you look in the mirror, than what we see when we come in contact with one another. We are so much more than just a body, a mind, a personality. The human being is a very complex expression. And there's just so much to each and every one of us. And sometimes, for some strange reason, we try to discount or discredit a part of us. And we're going to take some time and kind of look at this today as to what exactly is that about and where is that coming from and how can we move beyond that. Have you ever had one of those days where you got up and life was great? The coffee or the tea tasted incredibly good. You looked outside and the sky was clear, or whatever the weather was that makes your heart sing. You put some music on and the music was absolutely touching your soul, and you were singing along with it, and everything is just going so amazingly well. Perhaps you went out and got in the car and ran a few errands, and everyone you came in contact with was beautiful and loving and happy. And every single thing that you did throughout the day was just amazing. And at one moment in time, you kind of thought about it for a second, and you thought, oh my gosh, I am really happy. Oh my goodness, I am so successful. Look at all the things I'm accomplishing. Or look at how peaceful my life is today because I've chosen rest. And then, it's like someone took I know most of you remember record players. When someone took the needle on the record player and went, "Err." And the next thing you know, you're agitated. You're feeling impatient. You almost feel like you're rushing to do something, but you can't think of what it is you're rushing to do. And maybe you're in conversation with someone, and they are annoying you, and you're having a difficult time not sounding like this when you talk. And something has happened. Something has affected you. Something has impacted you, and you've chosen to wear it for a while. This, my friends, has to do with emotion. It has to do with whatever it was that took place that you weren't quite paying attention to, that struck a chord in you and brought up something, and now you're reacting to it. It's time to pause. It's time to pause and find the cause. Because otherwise, what happens is you create in your life this wonderful thing called the snowball effect. And you have a poor interaction with this person, and then you drop a dish in the sink and it breaks, and then you burn yourself on something hot on the stove, and it just starts to escalate. Am I the only one who's been there? We all have these things happen to us. So what we want to do is we want to take a little bit of time, because this month we're looking at the inner life, that part of us within. And last week, I actually talked about seeing the God within each of us and taking some time last week to really be in love with self. And if you took some of the suggestions or created a few ideas of your own, you're in that process right now of a love affair with yourself. And of recognizing that you too were created for beauty and greatness just like everyone around you. And that the Spirit Divine that lives in someone like Ken Jansen and comes through with that beautiful, talented music and vocals is also coming through you, just maybe in a different way. Each of us has the divine being within us. Janet Kingsford says, balance is not something you find, it's something you create. I went to a minister early on within this teaching, and I said, what I really want is I really want balance in my life. I just don't feel like I have any balance. I feel like, I'm on this roller coaster and everything's just insane for a while, and then everything's kind of boring and there's just no balance. And she said to me, well, what does balance look like? And I said, I have no idea. That's your job. And she said, no, first of all, you have to be able to identify it if you want to manifest it. So I thought this little carton of eggs looked really good because they're all these different expressions of emotion. And one of the things about emotion is we have judged it unfairly. At some point in our life, at some point in our growth, we were told, don't you dare cry. We were told that certain emotions were not acceptable and certain emotions were. And I don't know about you, but if you grew up anywhere near the world and life that I grew up in, there were emotions that were okay for my brother and my father to express, but they weren't okay for me and my mom. My mom and I could have softer emotions. We could be sad, and we could cry. They got to be angry. And then what happened throughout my growth and development in life was a whole influx of human expression showed up that didn't fit into any of those categories and any of those norms. And we started seeing people expressing emotion in a way that they weren't supposed to express it, because who do they think they are? And we got all kittywampus in the whole idea of how this works. And yet, we still tried to maintain and contain what was going on with us. We live in a place too often that says, I don't want you to see me. Tearful, reacting, upset, emotional. And therefore, I'm going to do my best to contain it, or diminish it, or ignore it. Yesterday, I sat in a circle with a group of individuals from the organization Second Chance. Individuals who have recently been incarcerated for years and recently been released. Some of them have been out of the system in that particular context for a little while. So think about that for a second. Being imprisoned, being in a place where you are locked up, locked down. You only get to eat when someone tells you you can. You only get to exercise when someone tells you you can. Everything that you want to do or anything that you desire is pretty much controlled by someone outside of you. And then one day, they unlock the door, and you have the ability to walk out. And now, you got to figure it out. And what I noticed and felt in that room was vulnerability, beauty, love. Individuals who wanted to not only succeed in the world that they are creating for themselves, but they wanted to reach out a hand to one another and help each other go forward as well. I bring you this example because if you're shutting down your emotions, if you're trying to ignore them, if you're attempting to contain them, you have imprisoned your heart. Our emotional expression is as much a part of us as any other part of us. Any other part of us. And what a great time to look at this in this season in February, where we talk about this being the month of love. Simply because tomorrow, a day shows up on the calendar called Valentine's Day. And if you haven't shown anybody you love them all year long, you darn well better do it tomorrow. And what I'm here to tell you is that love that I've been talking about, that comes from within us, that is expressed towards us, needs to be with us every single day. Because it's that love that we bring to ourselves inwardly that also comes outward to everyone we come in contact with, everyone we interact with. This is a picture of a child's hands with words written on it that say just me, and it says all kinds of descriptors of this person. And I put this here because I want you to look at this sign, this symbol right here with my hands. Another word for pause is halt. And for many, many years in corporate America, I trained individuals on how to step out of some kind of emotional challenge that was going on, some kind of impact that something had just had on them, and get back to center, to get back to grounded without using a lot of the language and the jargon that we use in this philosophy. And there's an acronym called HALT. And it's really great. It requires one thing: awareness. We have got to be in that place that says, what's going on here? What just happened? Wasn't I just happy a couple of minutes ago? Why is that song that I'm playing bothering me so much right now? And what happens, and I think you know this, is that this incredible thing called our brain, this computer up here, is pulling out files all the time. Everything you're doing in your day, in your life, this wonderful organ is trying to define it as something that probably happened to you before. And so you're having a conversation with someone and they say a word or a comment is made and the brain goes, wait a second, we know what that is. We felt that before, back in 1998. Let's go pull that file, and the next thing you know, you're reacting to something that isn't even happening. So as we do more of this inner work, as we take more time to pay attention, we become more and more aware, and we can use this acronym called HALT, and I use it all the time. H stands for hungry. A stands for angry. L stands for lonely, and T stands for tired. In that moment, when I'm responding and something is out of whack, I stop, I breathe, and I go, so am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I feeling lonely, and not just lonely, but alone in this moment? Or am I tired? Because those are huge pieces of what trigger our emotions as well. And it can help us to just take a moment. I have been upstairs working on my computer, just going to town. I'm so creative. I'm just doing great stuff. I'm having a good time. I'm creating classes. I'm outlining a book. I'm doing all these wonderful things. And all of a sudden, I feel like I'm running a race, and I'm not breathing. I can feel my breath going shallow, and I'm thinking, okay, what is going on? I don't have a deadline. I don't have any place I have to be. And I didn't eat that day. I might not look like a person who forgets to eat, but every now and then I do. So use that concept if that can help you throughout the week. Because we are here to live the life that God has laid before us. We are here to be a part of a loving expression of planet Earth. And there are a whole lot of people that we can see every day that aren't taking the time to pause, that aren't taking the time to figure it out, that aren't taking the time to express the emotion as it needs to be expressed. Ernest Holmes says, this is Ernest. Anthony DeMello says, if you were to feel or look or sit and make contact with yourself, you would come to silence, and all things would be revealed to you. We were talking out in the hallway before service today, and someone said, I'm going to run over here and do this, and someone said, I'm going to just run over here, and I said, well, you don't have to run. And we got into a little bit of a conversation, Dawn and I did, about the fact that we use language all the time that says we're in a hurry. And every time you use a word that says you're in a hurry, your brain says, oh my gosh, we're in a hurry. And it helps you. Such a supportive little bugger that brain is. So think about that and just pay attention to that. And when we talk about pause to find the cause, we're looking at the effect. The cause is what produces an effect in our lives, and an effect is the tangible piece. It's the thing that has been made manifest. And so when we talk about the law of cause and effect, we talk about all of the energies and things that come forth first, and then what comes out of that. And was that the thing you were really striving for, or did you kind of get a little off course when you were doing all of this cause piece and you manifested something you didn't really want? It wasn't exactly where you wanted to be. Anytime we fail to support a piece of ourselves, a portion of who we are, we fail ourselves. And then we have to scramble to bring it all back together, to put it all back into place, to realign. Brené Brown said this quote, "We cannot selectively numb emotions. When we numb the painful emotions, we also numb the positive ones." So when we go into that place of trying to contain or maintain and keep the sorrowful things and the anger and the things that we think are negative out of our world, out of our expression, out of our experience, what happens is we stop being able to express the positive side and the good things. We become hesitant to laugh, hesitant to be joyful, hesitant to be happy, if you will. Brene has a new book out. It's called Atlas of the Heart. And I'm reading it because I believe I'm going to develop a class based on this book later this year. And it's based on a study of emotion, human emotion. And she says that one of the challenges that we have is that we call it something it's not. So we use terminology to identify how we feel, but it's the wrong term. And if you identify the emotional expression that you're in right now and you misidentify it, the body responds to the misidentification, and it takes away from our ability to not only adopt it, but to move through it and move past it or move beyond it. And I found this very interesting because I used to have a friend who was a practitioner years ago, and we'd be talking about things and somebody would say, well, I feel such and such, and her response was, that's not a feeling. And it used to drive me crazy because we were trying to figure out how we were feeling, but we weren't using the terminology that best supported the being, the body, the system. And of course, in that particular context, her purpose was to mentor and help and support. It wasn't that she was just an annoying person. Don't misunderstand me, because she wasn't. She was a beautiful person, wonderful heart, and supporting, helping us say, okay, well, then if that's not what I'm feeling, I get to figure out what exactly it is for me. The power of God operates through the energy that our thoughts emit. The power of God operates through the energy that our thoughts emit. Your experience is based on your belief. Your belief is based on your thoughts. And that's what's showing up in your life. That's what's showing up in your world. Our minds, this wonderful thing, this brain, is recording every single thing about you. Now, I know some of us are at that age where we're forgetting a whole lot of stuff, and we have no idea where it went. And I just love it because it's moment by moment at my house. I'm in a room, I don't know why I'm there. I know I had a purpose, and I have to kind of back up and regroup. That doesn't mean that my brain isn't recording. It just means that my operator has lost the ability to retrieve the data. That's kind of what's going on. Because as soon as I go back to wherever I was, I've got the answer. But it's recording everything, and its purpose is to play this back for us, and to help us see where we are and how we got there. And that's the piece that I want you to think about this week, is when the emotions kick in, how do we get there? I'm going to share a story that I did not ask permission for. I'm going to share it anyway. Our dear Dawn became a new grandma this week. And the process was intense, and the process was lengthy, and there were some things that took place, and because of what took place, she didn't get a lot of sleep. And she mentioned when she came in this morning that she's just exhausted. And that a plant fell over in your kitchen, is that what you said? And a plant fell over in her bathroom, and she burst into tears. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And it's okay. It's okay to be in that space. It's okay to be in that space of going, okay, well, yeah, I'm exhausted, and I have a brand new grandbaby. And so what happens to us is we think we don't have, sometimes we fight and we battle with the idea that, well, I can't be upset and sad because this wonderful thing just happened. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Emotions are not linear. And they're not logical. So if you're sitting there trying to talk to yourself about why you're feeling this and how you shouldn't feel this, let me tell you something. You're talking the wrong language, because the part of the brain where the emotional, the hemisphere where the emotions are housed is not anywhere close to the part of the brain where logic lives. It was designed that way by the master in perfection. So you can either be logical or you can be emotional, but they're not going to cross over very well. I remember when my mother would get hysterical sometimes, at least in my opinion, and I would say to her, "Calm down," and she goes, "I am calm." And I didn't have that interaction with her very many times before I realized that words "calm down" ignited something in my mother. And it wasn't my place to give her that suggestion, because it never worked out. It never worked out. So we want to honor our emotions. We want to honor all of the pieces of ourselves and everything that has to do with who we are. Eckhart says this: when the basis for your actions is inner alignment with the present moment, your actions become empowered by the intelligence of life itself. Be here, now, wherever you are, at any moment, in any day. Be in that space, in the now moment. That is what supports us, and that is what supports us and empowers us to manage our lives and to manage ourselves. And when the emotions bust out, they just show up and we weren't expecting them, be kind to yourself. Be gentle. Allow yourself to express. Be your own best friend. Because if you were talking to a friend and all of a sudden they started crying uncontrollably, you would not tell them to stop. You would not try to get them to shift gears. You would hold the space for them to express. We can do that for ourselves. That's what self-love looks like and feels like. Eric Butterworth says this: prayer is not something we do to God, but to ourselves. It is not a position, but a disposition. It is not flattery, but a sense of oneness. It is not asking, but knowing. It is not words, but feeling. It is not will, but willingness. Feeling. Ernest Holmes teaches us to feel the words of prayer. So when you've gone to that place and you've had an emotional outburst or whatever, and you've taken time to pause and you've asked a few questions of yourself and you've kind of got it into alignment, it's a really great time to move into that space of prayer. Because what prayer does for each of us, it helps us solidify and affirm who we are and where we are. We're not telling God anything. The all-knowing already knows. That being everywhere present, it's already got it. The one that I'm adjusting and correcting and supporting is me. That's what we do in that place of prayer. And I don't know about you, but there have been times when I'll be out doing a kind of a walking meditation or a spiritual mind treatment with the dog, and all of a sudden I have to stop myself because I'm just saying a bunch of words and I'm not paying any attention. And if the feeling isn't there, the manifestation will not be. And we don't have to get down on our knees, but we can. And we don't have to bow our heads and clasp our hands, but we could. We can open our eyes and look at the sky, and we can speak the words that remind us we are connected in spirit, and that very power lives within each of us. We can do that. And God is every part of me. And if God is expressing through me, then God is expressing through me even when I am an emotional wreck. My terminology, not Spirit's. And that's the truth for each of us. For each of us. Because you see, we're emotional beings. We see a picture, we see a photograph, we hear a voice. Something passes across the television set, and we react, we respond at an emotional level. And our feelings, our emotions can be pleasant, or they can be painful. But be grateful that we get to feel them and that we get to experience them. And we want to remind ourselves and each other that life isn't happening to us. We're creating. We're co-creating every single moment of it. So we want to work on the cause, all of the things that came forth that brought us to this point, and then that's how we impact the effect in our lives. And that's how we change our thinking, which is what this philosophy is all about, is being able to change our thinking. Maxwell Maltz says, low self-esteem is like driving through life with your handbrake on. Do we have handbrakes? This might be an old quote. Do we still have handbrakes? I was going to say, do I have one in my car? And I wasn't conscious and don't know. So the reason I wanted to bring this one point up before I close today is that self-esteem, your awareness of your self-worth is directly in correlation to your relationship with God. If you don't think you're of value, you're not going to think or believe that there is a spiritual being that's going to help you and support you. And this is another place where I was in awe yesterday as listening to these individuals talk about their conviction that they deserved to have a good life, that they've paid their dues or they've moved past whatever, and now they're in this place of creating and co-creating something new and meaningful for them and for their families. I was so inspired by the words that I heard, by the heartfelt sharing that took place. We did not come into this life to make $1 million. You might create $1 million in this life, but that's not why you came here. You were not brought here to create something material. You were not brought here to acquire intellectual degrees. It's something you can do. It's something that you have the choice about, but it is not the purpose as to why you came here. We came here to find ourselves, to love ourselves, and to love one another. And the better job we do at that, the more fulfilling life we will have. That sounds pretty simple compared to what I thought it was going to be about when I was growing up, when I was a kid. So this week I encourage you to pause, find the cause, if that's what's necessary, and be an expression of radical self-love. I love that word, radical self-love. Gayla Darling says this, radical self-love is treating yourself the way you would treat your very best, most treasured friend. So just as I mentioned a moment ago, every now and then stop yourself from berating yourself. Stop yourself from criticizing something you did. Halt. And then take a moment to consider, if I was my own best friend, what would I say right now? What would I do right now? How would I treat me right now? And let's see where we come out of this in another week of working on this inner life and this inner being and this context of loving one another, but loving ourselves first. Allow some space between your emotions. Give yourself permission to express yourself and be gentle. Practitioners, please stand while we pray. So as we just breathe in this moment, this space, this time, we are reminded of the power. And what I know about this power is that I know that I can look to the blue Colorado sky as I did this morning, and I can see the depth and the beauty of life in the sky, and the beautiful spattering of clouds, and know that even though the trees look as though they are not alive, they are very much alive, and the growth is beginning. And what I know is that God is in all of this, that this is a beauty, a truth, a reminder, a realization for me of God and its power. I mean, it's so easy to know that God is powerful, because where else can we get approximately 6 inches of snow and low temperatures, and the next day most of it is melted and the sun is out and we're out walking around in the sunshine? The contrast of nature and all that it creates is just another reminder of the power. And what I know for each and every one of us today is that we have this power living within us. It is a part of who we are, and it is beautiful. And it is perfect, and it is good. So this week, I know each and every one of us walks forward with that idea, that reminder that we get to be an expression of all that we are, completely and wholly. We get to let go of self-judgment and criticism, and we get to live in that light, that beauty, that joy of who we are and all that we are. How beautiful and perfect this is. And so today we just send this love out from this space. We send this love out to the north and the south and the east and the west. We send this love up above our heads and down beneath our feet, knowing that we can send it out in a radical direction everywhere, touching every single being with this beauty, this love, and this light that we are. This week, may we express our authentic selves. May we honor the precious being within each and every one of us. And may we touch the hearts of one another. For that is why we are here. And so I call all people blessed. I know all life is perfect because it is the life that God has put in place for each of us. And I just allow it all to be. And as we go from here today, we just go forth in gratitude. Gratitude that we can connect in this way. Gratitude that we can speak these words into divine right action. Gratitude that we can know our connection in spirit. Gratitude for all life, all beauty, and all love. So right now we just let it go. We let it go and we let it be, and together we say, and so it is.
Sometimes I forget where I come from. Or sometimes I forget where I'm going to. Sometimes I get so confused I lose my way. Sometimes I don't feel safe. Then I remember there is no way that God is not. No, no, no. There is no way that God is not. There is no way that God is not. No, no, no. 'Cause everywhere I am, I know what I got. Sometimes I believe in what I see. Sometimes I believe in what I perceive. Sometimes I get so confused I lose my way. Sometimes I don't know what what to say. Then I remember there is no way that God is not. No, no, no. There is no way that God is not. There is no way that God is not. No, no, no. 'Cause everywhere I know what I got. I forgot to pray, forgot to be still and know. Forgot to forgive myself until I forgave myself. Forgot to ask for help, I forgot to say a word. Forgot to believe in me, believe in my spirit's word. Then I remember there is nowhere that God is not. No, no, no. There is nowhere that God is not. There is nowhere that God is not. No, no, no. 'Cause everywhere I am, I know what I got. There is nowhere that God is not. 'Cause everywhere I am, I know what I got. Everywhere I am, I know what I got. Everywhere I am, I know what I got.
Hello. I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.